I happen to hate musicals up to I watch The Great Showman, which is, I think, one of the best movies I've ever seen. And yeah, today I'm gonna present this to you, and I hope you like it. And yeah, welcome to NerdUniversum, the best film podcast on the whole world. And today it is about The Greatest Showman. The film The Greatest Showman is about Phineas T. Barnum, who builds up like a circus, and we see the start of the show business. And yeah, at the beginning we see, after introduction with is unimportant, we see Phineas Barnum, who works as a helper of a tailor. I don't know if it's his father, and the tailor travels with him to like a castle or a villa, and there he gets to know Charity, a rich daughter, and they like fall in love at first sight, and Charity has to leave to a school, but they write letters like for years, and then the tailor dies, and yeah, Phineas and Charity continues to write letters, but Phineas has problems to find something to eat and have like this basic things to live. And he gets help from ugly people, which would be important to understand the story later. And then he joins Great American Railroad, where he gets like 3 meals a day. And yes, then he grows big because there's a time jump, and he gets back to Charity, and we see Hugh Jackman as Phineas T. Barnum the first time, and Charity goes with him from their parents, but her father says she will come back sometimes because she is fed up with the life she has with Phineas. And then Phineas and Charity get to live at like a small flat near to the railroad, and get to have kids, and live happily. And Phineas works at an office job at the railroad company, but he always wants more. You see at this scene that he's like a dreamer, which I think is really sympathetic. And then the company goes bankrupt, and Phineas is dismissed, and then it turns out the fleet of trading ships which the company owns has sunk in the South China Sea. And then Phineas goes home, and we see that he and Charity has gotten 2 kids. And after that, we see that he wants to create something sensational, and he goes to the bank and lays them in the paper for the ships as a safety for a land of $10,000. And he creates like a wax figure cabinet, and it happened to be not so good. And then he gets the idea from his daughters actually to create a show and ask ugly people which weren't accepted by the community to join this show. They have like a giant man, a thick man, a little man, and they happen to build a really nice show. And at the audition, he puts together a very different crew, and the show he has is at first at the museum, and then at the other building. and yeah, he has yeah. The show is like well visited and he gets much money, but he has problems with guys who insults his people and his crew because they act ugly, and he's criticized by press also. And yeah, that are his problems with the show, but he don't happen to care much about them. And then the show happened to be so good that he could buy an old villa at charity, and he went to uh, years ago for his family and fulfilled his kids' dreams, like or buy one of his daughter's ballet slippers, and then he goes to a ballet dance from his daughter, and his daughter is rejected from the other kids, and yeah, they happen to be problems for Phineas and his family to like fit in the community of rich people. And then he meets or sees Philip Carlisle for the first time, and but that happened to be important later, and he sees his daughter who seems fed up about Phineas Circus and the change of her surroundings, and wants to quit ballet because the girls insulted them. And after that, he talks to Philip Carlisle, the one he sees on the party after the ballet. And he's a play producer with very well visited plays, and they have a drink together, and he convinces him to join the show and be his junior partner. And yeah, when Philip Carlisle went to the show, he sees Anne Wheeler, played by the very attractive Zendaya, and yeah, happened to fall like love at first sight. You know how this is in movies. And then there are protests against this show, and to cue that PC, Philip Carlisle gets a visit at the Queen's palace, at the Buckingham Palace, the Queen of England, I have to say. And he sees Jenny Lind, a Swedish opera singer, for the first time, and wants her to make a show in America, and he does the organizing things for her. And then at the first concert of the show, he puts his crew of ugly people, not to insult anybody, but I call them ugly to the whole podcast. And he puts them like a back of the whole tape, the whole show, so nobody steals them. And after that, he meets Charity's parents and embarrasses them in front of like the whole people, and they have Phineas and Charity's father has a fight. A discussion, I think, is clearer. And Charity and her parents leave, and Jenny happen to flirt with Phineas, which will be important later. I know I say this a lot, but yes, you have to understand the content of the show, of the film, to understand the content later. Then the crew wants to come in at the after party of the concert, but Phineas rejects them, and the crew has a show on their own, and the attention of Phineas is divided between the show and the show and Jenny Lind, and he has a fight and discussion with Philip, who happens to be like, who cares of the show the whole time. the crew is disappointed of Phineas rejecting them, and yeah, Philip has to have a date with Alan Wheeler, but like they want to go to the theater, and he doesn't tell Anne about this, and yeah, then she went back, and Philip went after to apologize. But first, his mother and father meet Phil at the theater, and it's very clear that they are disappointed of him. And Anne runs away because she is insulted by Philip's father, and Philip defeats her. And yeah, then Phineas wants Phineas talks to Charity that he does the show because he wants his children to be accepted in this society, and Charity tries to convince him that yeah, he don't have to be accepted by everyone. And yeah, Dennis Phineas is on a tour with Jenny, and Charity cares for the kids, and Phil like make this whole circus at home, and there's romantic tensions between Philip and Jenny, and Philip wants to leave the tour, but Jenny is upset with this, and then she kisses him in front of the whole crowd at the end of the concert, and he's photographed by many press guys, and then Philip Carly has trouble after a show, and there happened to be a fight between the crew and the other people, and the circus gets burned at this, and the whole building like collapses, and then Phineas got home from the tour because he had a fight with Jenny Lind, and then everyone at the circus went out, but not Anne Wheeler, and then Anne went out after Philip went in to save her, but Philip isn't there, and then Phineas goes to save Philip, and like happened to save him, but he only had too much smoke, and then Philip is at the hospital, and Anne keeps staying in his bed, and there happen to be like romantic tensions from both sides now, not only from Philip's, and I think that's something everyone would run in the fire. And then the circus gets fully destroyed, and they couldn't rebuild it. Then James Gordon Bennett, theater critics, went to Phineas, and he criticized his show at the beginning, I have to say, and talks with him, and says that the scandal with that he was kissing Jenny Lind got into the newspapers, and then Charity leaves, because she's mad at Phineas and don't let him explain this, and the bank, and you see that the bank has evicted them, and then we see Phineas in a bar, and the crew comes there to like cheer him up and tries to convince him to rebuild the circus. And then Phineas goes to action, but first goes to his parents' house, and um, tries to get back Charity, but first we see Phil and Anne Wheeler kissing, and yeah, then we see that Phineas apologizes to Charity, and Charity really forgives him. And at the end, we see that Phineas gets nothing from the bank, but is offered his money from Phil, who took his cut weekly while working at the show with Phineas. But Phil says that they have to be like 50-50 partners. And yeah, then they decide not to rebuild the circus building because this would be too expensive, and use the tent at the docks of Manhattan. And then Phineas gives Phil the directory at the last show we see in the whole film, and goes to his family, and what I think is really funny, he goes to them on the elephant, and then Phineas visits a bell with his daughters, and the movie ends with like everyone being happy, which is like typical for a Hollywood movie like this, but I like it. And yes, that was like what the film is about. I know for some of you this may be a lot of content, but you should really watch the film. This podcast is more like for people who wants to hear the podcast because they don't have time to watch the film. And at the end, do you know that the film was based on true, or based on a true story? It's not fully orientated then, but Phineas Taylor Barnum really lived from 1810 to 1891, and he was a politics and circus pioneerist, and when he was little, he was like only the son of a barman, and as a young man, he had a little shop himself. But then his wife Charity, and his daughter Caroline, that's how the wife and one of the daughters is named in the film too, went to New York, and over the years he is like many circuses and curiosity houses and other curiosities, like a 160-year-old black woman who tells stories, or bones of an Irish giant, which later happened to be faked both. And yeah, then he also made a show with the Swedish opera singer Jenny Lind, who also existed, but I haven't researched fact on this on her. And he like was seen as a traitor many times because he faked many curiosities like the black woman or the Irish giant, and he died with 80 years. And you could see many parallels with him, like I already said, the wife who has the same name, that he has circuses and problems finding a job, and that he was a traitor in the film only to the bank. At the real life, he faked curiosities, but he was a traitor sometimes. And I personally think the film was really good, from acting and the songs, the best for a musical, I think. And the theme is one that is really good for a movie I have to like, and that you see that ugly people could achieve everything, and you have to follow dreams, and you could achieve everything you want. And at the end, we also see that you could fall really high when you rise. And yeah, I think this movie is 10 of 10 stars worth and one of the best films I've ever seen. The today's podcast question you could answer on Spotify or on the social networks is, what's your favorite musical? You could follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm building a Letterboxd account, and you could leave me a speak message where you could say anything about the podcast. And yeah, the links for all of this are in the podcast description. And yeah, I hope you liked today's podcast. Also, it was in another language, and I hope I hear you next Tuesday. And ciao ciao.